once people create that storyline, that, idea, that's when people start valuing that. They almost feel invested in the story. And so they want to, that's why people go to Disney, because they feel invested in these stories that Disney has provided through video form, through animation form. And now they want to experience the being part of that culture, or being part of, the world that, these characters live in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Out of the Box podcast, where Stu and I, your host, get to talk about outside of the box ideas. This time, we get to bring back one of our awesome guests. Ethan here is with us today, and we're going to be talking about in this podcast what creates value in things. Why do we get drawn to certain things? Why do prices go up when we create a demand for a certain product or a certain digital product? So without further ado, we're gonna get started. So we'll get started with Ethan. So Ethan, what are your thoughts on this? Like, why do we value things, and why do prices go up? And maybe give us a little bit background into what things you collect or things you have seen in the market yourself.
So I think a lot of it, because like I collect Star Wars, the Black Series, the 6-inch figures. I have Hot Toys as well. I have the Funko Pops. I pretty much got a little bit of it all, Legos. And to me, when I think about like my collection and stuff, it's about the memories of me going out and getting a figure or ordering a figure. Because I know there's some figures I've paid so much overpriced for, when I know it's like it probably takes like $10 for them to make in total, with like the labor, the painting and all that. And then I've ended up paying like $50. I think the most I paid for a figure is $60, I think, for a 6-inch Black Series one. But it's just the meaning of some of them. It's the supply and demand is definitely one of them, because if there's a lot of a figure and no one wants them, no one wants to buy them, it's going to be cheaper, right? They're going to try to do whatever they can to get rid of them, so they'll discount them. Let's say it's like a Darth Maul figure, for instance, one they've had a re-release. They've only done it twice, but it's super high in demand because everybody loves Darth Maul, and like you can't find them on the aftermarket right now, because like I've looked, and like I was fortunate enough to get one from Steel, because like I knew he had one, and he's into the Hot Toys, and I'm not in. I'm into the Hot Toys, but not as much as my Black Series figures. But then like it all comes from the story, like, oh yeah, when I go to tell people when they ask about my collection, I could be like, well, I got this figure from this store, this figure from this store, I got it from this person, I went to this place to get it. And like for me, I can actually name where I've gotten every single one of my figures, and almost for how much I got each of them. It's just like, it's something that's meaningful to me, because like it was a journey, a story, it was a process, along the way to acquiring something, I cherish, part of my collection. And I think a big thing to do with the price is like, how much is someone willing to pay? And it's all about, you could play the long game or you could play the short game. The long game is maybe it goes down in price over time, maybe it goes up. The short game is maybe it comes out, it's a new release, and people are charging 200% markup price, but you really want it so bad and you want it now, and you're not willing to wait. You're willing to pay that extremely high markup price, and just to have it sooner instead of later, So
that's so true.
I think there's a lot of variables when it comes down to it,
I've noticed that with my own experiences collecting Hot Toys, because it's not like I'm just buying the new ones that come out. Matter of fact, I think most of the ones I own are the ones that sold out by the time I was buying them, so I bought them on, I bought them on eBay, the secondary market, as we call it. And yeah, I paid, extra money for them, and sometimes some of them I actually got some really good deals on, actually. Well, yeah, so backtracking. I think what you're saying, Ethan, is really important about playing the waiting game, because I've discovered that if you actually do just wait for the right opportunity, you can save hundreds of dollars. Like the Black Widow one, I saved out like 120 or so dollars on her because I waited, because she's usually much higher on the secondary market. But I just found a good deal on eBay. It just so happened to pop up. I was like, wow, that's good. Same for, I think, there's at least like
Your
three other
Harry.
ones. Yeah, the
Your
Harry
Harry.
one. That one's a limited edition. Like truly, they're never gonna reissue that. And I saved like I think $100 or so on that because I just found a good deal one day. You know, I wasn't looking for it. I just kind of like had the process of looking through the eBay search, and then if it pops up, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't. You know, it's not like I'm like looking for just Harry. It's like it just Harry popped up for that price. I'm like, that's a good deal. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I feel like it does vary. It varies on how much you want it. Like if you really want it, then yeah, you're gonna spend extra money. But honestly, I've been questioning myself lately. I'm like, is this figure, like this 12-inch figure, is this really worth $500, $700? Like, do I really want to spend $600 or $700 just because it's, just because it's that rare and because I can't get it anywhere else, when the price
Well, I
might
have
go
another
down.
thing to add too. Like
Yeah.
you were saying, like there's the long game and short game, but then there's also the pre-order game, a lot of the greater deals are when you pre-order a figure, you get it at a guaranteed price and you don't have to worry about the secondary market or retail. You get it at what they say for the pre-order, and usually you got to make a deposit or whatever. And most of the time they don't even charge you until your figure is ready to ship, And I found like with my Obi-Wan Deluxe, I saved, now that figure goes for like 800
Yeah,
and
you
I paid
saved a
only like
lot, dude. And
270.
I found a good
Yeah,
deal
I
on
know,
that
and
one.
I
I
saved
still paid
so
way.
much for it.
Yeah, dude, I still pay way more than you did, but I still found one less than 800. I was like, okay, this is as good as it's gonna get, right? But like, I think they change in value over time, and I'm gonna jump to you, Zay, next on that, talking about how they change in value because they've noticed that. Like I've noticed, like the new Black Widow figure from Hot Toys, the Endgame one, it's like selling for like 170 or $180 when it's still, you can still buy it on Sideshow Collectibles for 235 plus taxes and shipping. So I'm like, there's certain characters that just aren't as popular. The Mandarin from Iron Man 3, he's extremely low price all the time. But Electro was low too from Amazing Spider-Man 2. He was always 170, but now because the new
150 to
one,
170.
I've
Yeah.
noticed that ever since the No Way Home trailer, he's gone up in price again. I'm like, so sometimes, these figure prices on eBay, you can't always trust them. Like sometimes they can just go up and down. So it makes you question the value of them. And I want to jump to you, Jose, on that. I don't know what that really means. Why these figures, obviously the value isn't consistent because it's constantly going up and down, right?
Going up and down. But I think it's also a creative way of from the makers or the designers to create a demand for it. They create a certain brand for Star Wars. They create a certain brand for Harry Potter or whatever it is, right, that people are collecting. And once people create that storyline, that idea, that's when people start valuing that. They almost feel invested in the story, and so they want to, that's why people go to Disney, because they feel invested in these stories that Disney has provided through video form, through animation form. And now they want to experience the being part of that culture, or being part of the world that these characters live in. And so I think it's so interesting because it really shows an expression. As we collect things, it shows an expression of who we are, right? And so which is really awesome, right? So that's why we're drawn to certain characters, we're drawn to certain things. And the more people I guess find value in that, or kind of get into that specific area, that's when the demand comes in, and like prices start going up.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really interesting. And I was just kind of hearing you guys out. And another thing that I thought was really interesting that Ethan mentioned was the process of actually getting a figure, because you value it more when you work harder to get it, right? Like it's not just that you have the figure, right, but that you worked hard to be first in line, or first in the pre-order or first,
or travel hundreds of miles, different
like you have.
states to
to go.
get
Yeah.
because, for instance, I've gone to New Mexico comic book shops. I went to Arizona.
Yeah,
I've gone to Florida. I've gone all over to comic book stores to buy like certain, not like to buy them, but I've seen certain figures and I'm like, oh, I can add that to my collection.
Dude, that's like
And
you
then
were
it
saying
just means more.
with the journey, And also,
Yeah, the sentiment of value.
I also want to jump into art, because we look at art, like the most famous art pieces, they're worth millions of dollars, the original ones. And even some really high quality prints are worth a good chunk of change. I mean, they can be worth a couple $100 depending on how high quality, how big they are. So I'm wondering, and I'll jump to Jose on this and then jump to Ethan. Like, why does certain art, not all art, like some art just doesn't sell for anything, but some of it does. Some of it captivates people, and people are literally willing to spend thousands, if not millions of dollars for a certain art,
I think it really comes down to a lot of things. Sometimes it's personal reference or personal preferences, but also sometimes it comes down to how long did the creator take in terms of like making this art. Some people like spend hours just making one painting, right? And maybe the artist themselves has done some work, to make their name be known in the art world, right? And so as I think it's almost because I sell balloon figures at restaurants, and at first when I arrive, nobody gets a balloon, right? And it's pretty interesting. Nobody's getting a balloon once I get there because I'm first getting started. I'm making balloon figures, kind of like putting them all over myself just so people can see them. And once somebody buys one balloon, then all of a sudden, like, people start looking, people start staring, like, oh man, that guy had a balloon, like I want to get one for my kid. Like, and then so people start purchasing balloons, which is interesting. I'm just kind of showing a small example of the macrocosm of art and everything that happens. But I think as more people start seeing like, oh, they own that piece of art, like I want to own something similar. And so it starts creating almost like a demand, like the more that there is, the more demand is there
It's almost
to buy it and purchase it.
It's like psychological. You see this person likes, and then groups of people start building a crowd.
Like jealousy, basically, like self-status and all that,
Yes.
Like, oh, this person got a balloon. Well, I can get a balloon. I could get two,
Yeah, I can
have the same ones,
Exactly.
I think it's a lot to do with like a psychological thing, because it's like, oh, okay, so you can buy one, I can buy one too, I can buy two, and then most of the time, say like for instance the blue animal, they're not going to stay inflated forever. It's only a limited time thing, so eventually it's going to end up in the trash or whatever. But think about the people who come and buy a whole bunch of them just for their kids or whatever, when they know it's not going to last. Like, it's not an investment, it's kind of like a temporary satisfaction, and so you got to question yourself to like, why would people go and spend a lot? Is it just for the self status of other people seeing their kids with it and other kids not having it? Or I don't know. I mean, it's
sometimes
like
it's also the enjoyment. Like,
they
just want to, like, it's almost like, why do people go to restaurants and buy food? Like, if it's gonna be consumed, and then you can't do anything about it, like, or watch a movie, pay to go watch a movie. Like, it's mainly for the experience, like the aspect of like what you're gonna get. I think it's more like in the moment kind of experience, like that enjoyment of having that balloon or watching that movie or eating that food, and I think that's why people come back to it. If they really enjoy that experience, they want to get it again, right? And so I think that's
like kind of like the toy
that,
thing, the journey and the process, the story that goes into it, the emotional investment you're putting into going out the way to acquire whatever it is you're desiring at that moment, because it always changes. Like, you hear collectors changing collections left and right, and you got to think to yourself, like, you went through all that hard work, all that money, all those thousands of dollars to get this awesome collection. Now you're just getting rid of it to start over. Like, it makes no sense. But you hear in the collecting world that happens a lot, and it's because the value that it once had no longer meets the value of their needs, I guess you could say. And so they try to find something else that can fulfill their needs, so they start a new collection. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
you
like
understand?
it's
Mhm.
like NFTs, dude. Like NFTs are weird about that
Mhm.
too. Non-fungible tokens, and Jose knows a lot more about that than me. But like, I just like from what you're telling me, Jose, I'm just finding it fascinating how like this one NFT I'm looking at right now sold for over $60 million, and it's a
Yeah.
digital piece of art. It's not a physical thing that you have in your hand, and it's like, so now we're finding recently that digital pieces of art can sell for a lot of money, not just
Yeah,
physical.
because you if you think about it, a lot of people have debated this topic uh about saying like, well, I can just take a screenshot and already have it in my phone. Like, what's the use of actually like owning it? But I think what the blockchain, where these NFTs live in, it gives it, you know, you can say I'm the actual owner of this place, right? It's almost like a certificate that
Of
tells the world,
authenticity, you know.
yeah, authenticity. Like, it tells the world, this is I'm the rightful owner of this piece of art. Like, it's like how we exchange, cars and stuff. It's certificates that we say like, this is my car, I own it. If somebody steals it, I can go to the police and say like, hey, this is mine. Like, I own this car, and then, you can try to bring it back. And I guess it's the same process in the digital world,
So
like with
it's
the blockchain and NFTs
it goes back to the psychological component that we were talking about earlier about there's some psychological
ownership.
parts like I own this.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Ethan? Like why? Like why?
Okay, so funny thing, I'll say that I was watching a podcast the other day, and this rapper named Tory Lanez, he's done several NFTs and he's made thousands of dollars off of them. But now he's doing this new one to where it's his album. He's gonna release a special album as an NFT. So one song, he doesn't care what it sells for, but what he says is he thinks it's more like people buy it and pay so much because they're investing in whoever they're buying it in. So, for instance, like if someone buys one of his songs, they're investing their money into his songs, and later they can resell that NFT for even more. Kind of like a stock is what he was
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
what
like
he was
stocks.
describing it as. It
Basically.
was like that's why he's making this next one he's doing so cheap, so a lot of just average people can buy them and then make money as well. And he was saying that the NFT market is just people with stupid money that's willing to just spend stupid money on it just to make a return, or I hope to make a return, if not just to own it. But that's what he was basically saying is it's just a whole different world, and the best way he grasped it is like people investing through owning
Mhm.
a digital footprint, I guess you could say, of the person it comes
Yeah.
from. Like
And I
Logan
think
Paul, I know has done them. Several celebrities are starting to do them now because they know they can make money doing it from an audience.
what's so cool, it's, that, like, I've heard a lot of people talk about this because all of these NFTs will eventually live in what we call like our digital wallet, basically. And so
Mm-hmm.
we have a collection of digital tokens that we've purchased over the years. Some of these have been, access tokens where they represented a ticket into a concert or a festival, or represented, a song that you purchased from this artist, and it was the first release of that musician, and nobody heard about this, artist before, but, he released that NFT, and then all of a sudden he becomes big, and that NFT just grew in price, like you're saying. And
And
so it's almost like a really interesting way to build brand or like awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and like you said, it's like a stock, like if that musician keeps growing and growing and growing, then, you're really investing in that person to say like, well, how disciplined is this person? And then do they have the talent to actually
Yeah,
make it
what's their
big?
work ethic? Are they
yeah,
real serious
it's like
about it?
what you're
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
saying, Jose, about like the story. Like what Disney tells their stories or whatever movie brand director movies genre you like. You like the story, so you buy the Hot Toys character, you buy an NFT sold by that artist. But yeah, what are your final thoughts on that, Ethan, as we wrap up, and then I'll go to Jose.
So basically, I think for I guess for more of like the toys sake, I think more of it's like characters and people like I guess fantasize or dream about like, oh, that's such an amazing character. Like they feel a connection to them though, you know, like they see something in that character they wish they could see in themselves, or they strive to be more like, and that's why they are willing to invest and pay so much in for certain characters, or more or less like if it's just the collection, it's more of like the journey, and it's a talking piece, you know, like people come in your room and see your collection like, oh, hey, what is this? And then you get a big long story you can start talking about. So I think it just comes down to the collector and their personal preference. I know some people, they do it as like they're hoping to make an investment off of it, like they'll go buy a hot toy hoping it'll go and make a big reinvestment. And I get why people would do that, but it's definitely not like a smart ideal because it's such a volatile market.
I understand too, but it's like they're not stock.
Yeah, it's not something you're guaranteed any return at all.
Not designed.
Like you can lose more than you gain most of the time.
Yeah, if you're not smart about it. Yeah.
I'll let you wrap up, Jose.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, you know, Ethan said it best. Like, you know, in one of the things that I've been one of the things I watched recently was Stanley's kind of documentary movie. It's free on YouTube. It's a YouTube movie. And basically, you know, one of the things that really caught my attention was that when he was creating characters, especially Fantastic Four, which was, you know, one of his biggest artworks, you know, won a Nobel Prize almost, or like Nobel Prize of Art or something like that. And, you know, what he wanted to do was really have characters, superheroes that were, you know, going through a struggle, going through something that was humanly possible, relatable. Like a connection, relatable. Yeah. Humanly relatable. And I think that really created something interesting because in that world, and why we value his artwork and his comics and stuff like that was because we could actually connect with these characters, and because they represented a part of us, something that we ourselves identify as. So I think he did a really great work, and for future artists, you know, it's definitely something good to take from this is just make art that connects to people, like has some sort of human emotion, has some struggle, or something that people can eventually find relatable, and that's how it can become legendary.
Yeah, like stick to the little details, you know, like not miss over the small stuff, like you're saying. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching towards the end. If you're here listening to us, we really appreciate your time, and we also want you to press a like if you did enjoy this video, and please subscribe to our channel because we are committed to giving you more out of the box content for you. And until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.